What's up everyone? Recently I made this poll in which I asked you which host plugin did you enjoy most so far. And most of you have said that you didn't try any of them at all yet, which I assume just means that you didn't have the time to dive into something new yet, which is totally understandable. But at the same time, you should definitely do that because it's like a completely new category of plugins that tries to enhance the possibilities of interacting with a plugin by sort of putting a middleman in between, a plugin that hosts another plugin to give more features to the way we access that plugin. That's very exciting. But to all of you who have actually chosen between Snappy Snap, MegaMod and DAWs, I was really surprised about the outcome of this not very representative yet poll. First of all, I was surprised that Snappy Snap has so little votes because I would say that from all of these host plugins, this one is the fanciest. It basically lets you interpolate between 12 different snapshots that you can take from a plugin and then you can modulate it like crazy with different features, but maybe you just didn't choose it because it is the only one in the list that costs money, and that of course means that you cannot just hop in and try it unless you try the free version, which is a little bit smaller and it only has 2 snapshots. So the real battle was between MegaMod and DAWs was featured a lot on this channel because I was heavily involved in beta testing this plugin and also shaped the workflows like that. This plugin is just all about randomizing the parameters of its hosted plugin and sort of lets you make your own preset generators. But yeah, most of you chose MegaMod to be the most enjoyable host plugin so far, and that's why in this video I want to look into MegaMod and I will compare it to the modulation system of Bitwig and show you the differences basically. So this is the modulation system of Bitwig. For every plugin in the plugin chain you can click on this plus and then you can choose from a lot of modulators, and then the modulators each have their own parameters, and then when you want to assign the modulation you can click on this button and then do the assignment here, and then it's going boom.
Kristallenergie, 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 Kristallenergie.
Cheers to everyone who knows the original song. So let's hop right in and compare this workflow with what you would have to do in MegaMod. First of all, you have to load MegaMod. Then you have to click on Load Plugin and you have to select the plugin, in this case Formant by Minimal Audio. Then you have to choose the modulator. Here we can see the first difference. There are not as many modulators here yet as in Bitwig, but I mean, you know, Bitwig has been there for decades now and this plugin is pretty new, so it's cool that there are a few modulators in it already, and who knows, maybe the developer will add more content at some point. I will choose the envelope follower now because I just want to make something that is similar to what I did here. And now if I click on assign, I can actually drag a parameter on its interface in order to assign it, which is something that I cannot do in Bitwig. And now I can play back.
Kristallenergie.
It looks very hectic right now, so let me tweak the envelope follower settings a little bit.
Kristallenergie, 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 Kristallenergie.
There are some differences in the way this feels to use. For example, in Bitwig, you are rarely close to maxing out the input gain parameter, while here 24 is already the max. And when you have selected RMS and some attack, then you will probably not reach the top of this modulation. This plugin needs more input gain to work well, unless you stay in peak mode. Also, another difference is that the audio sidechain modulator in Bitwig has a lower and upper limit parameter for a pre-EQ that you can use to only let some part of the spectrum influence the envelope follower. There is also a dedicated envelope follower modulator, which is more like this one, but I never use it because, you know, why would I use this if I sometimes want to spontaneously decide to try the filters, you know? That's why I always consider this to be the envelope follower of Bitwig. Another difference is that this one also has a sidechain input. MegaMod also has a sidechain input for some reason. I just don't see an option on the GUI that says, yeah, you can use this envelope follower with a sidechain input now. So maybe the sidechain input of MegaMod is only going into the loaded host plugin and not used for the modulation. I don't know. That is something to consider for the future of this plugin, at least. Another thing that you probably noticed is that even though I assigned this thing to the knot here in the center, I only got this horizontal movement.
Kristallenergie. Kristallenergie.
I can increase the modulation depth here.
Kristallenergie.
That is one of the shortcomings of this workflow. The problem is, if Minimal Audio had not been smart enough to also put some alternative parameters at the sides of the XY pad, then it would not be possible now to also assign something to the shift.
Kristallenergie. Kristallenergie. Kristallenergie.
Also, one of the biggest differences between MegaMod and the workflow in Bitwig is that when you assign a modulation in Bitwig with this workflow, you immediately see the modulation depth that it introduces. While in MegaMod, the way this plugin leads your eyes is kind of discouraging for seeing what the modulation depth is like at assignment. Because like you click here, then you go to the parameter and you might go to a parameter that is far away from this place. So your eyes look up here. And then, you know, when you click on this thing, then the assignment, if it didn't already exist, is being added down here. And you might not notice that this happened because this is definitely something that happened to me when I tested this plugin earlier. It can be sometimes confusing when you don't know why, for example, the modulation doesn't really hit even though you have maxed out the input on the envelope follower. Then it's because the modulation depth was not considered yet. Now I will compare the other modulators with the Bitwig modulation system. Now I will talk about the randomizer. Randomizers are really important in my workflow because you can randomize stuff and also they are being used for modpies and all that. So what can you do with this one? You can max out the modulation. I don't know why that is not the default value, to be honest. And then you can set it to tempo sync or hertz. And the tempo sync values all go in straight steps. And of course, then you can assign it to things. By the way, one cool thing about the workflow here in MegaMod is that you can still drag the knot on the screen without upsetting the modulation too much, which is cool. If you try the same thing with a Bitwig modulation system, let's say I have already put a modulation here, and then you try to drag this, then it goes way crazier. Well, it still somewhat works, but it's kind of confusing. So that's also an interesting detail, that there is actually something that has been figured out a little bit more cleanly in MegaMod than in Bitwig. By the way, Bitwig can also be set to tempo sync values, but you can also go to dotted or triplet in the drop-down list. I don't find this drop-down list workflow to be super intuitive. I would prefer to have something that I can scroll over or drag, like here. This one can be dragged. Cannot be scrolled though. That's a shame. Oh wait, it can, but for some reason it's, I don't know, it barely moves when I scroll it, but sometimes it does. That's weird. Bitwig's randomizer has a few more options. Like this one can be smoothed, for example, this one as well. But this one also has this option, which is really useful. When you drag it to the right, then it will pick random values that are close to the ones that have been selected before. And when you then turn up the rate a lot, then you get this nice, intricate, but subtle shape, which reminds a little bit of Perle noise. There are no such features here, but there is a jitter parameter, which I think also adds some complexity to the curve, I guess. Very subtle. My main problem with the randomizer in MegaMod is not the randomizer itself, but the fact that you can only load one plugin. Because when I use the randomizer in Bitwig, I usually do that by making a chain and then making the randomizer there, and then going into multiple plugins to attach modulation. And then I can make a more complex modulation going on. But I mean, it's like really hard to critique a host plugin for that, because it would be really hard to rival Bitwig's extensive container system, especially when it comes to things like latency compensation, sidechain inputs and stuff. That is just almost impossible. But just saying, you know, that is one of the big differences. Another difference is, this one is a little bit subtle, but it's really important to me. When you have the randomizer in Bitwig, you can set the trigger to node and then set the frequency to hold, which means that this randomizer now waits for a new MIDI node to appear and only then it picks a new random value. And that can be extremely useful if you want it to rhythmically react to melodies and rhythms that you have in your project. That is how I use the randomizer most of the time, I think. Okay, let me remove this instance of MegaMod again, make everything here the way it was before.
Crystal energy.
Okay, sounds good. And now I go to the master channel here and I load MegaMod to discuss the last modulator that is in here, because that is the one that really stands out to me. I don't even think that Bitwig has the same modulator. I'll load the preset that I made beforehand called Flare F minor. Flare is a flanger made by Native Instruments and it sounds really good. You can select a pitch and then you can make it oscillate around that pitch with a certain amount and rate, and then you can dial in feedback and you can even dial in a chord if you want to. And I did that here with F minor and it sounds like this.
Crystal energy. Crystal energy.
So this is the Snapshot modulator where you can select 4 different snapshots. The first one, as you can see, it just plays a single voice in F and not a lot of vibrato. And then there are some variations of that, like here there is the full chord. And here there is still the full chord but with a more dramatic vibrato. But I have a problem with this modulator. It can be really confusing, you know, when you look at it at first, you think, wow, that is fancy. But like, imagine this situation. You are at some point and you say, okay, that is a nice point. I like this sound. What if I now go down to C2? What have you done now? Have you... I mean, because you are basically using snapshots here. So what does dragging the parameter down to C2 mean? Have I changed this in all of the snapshots now? It looks like it. It looks like I have now selected C2 to be the thing. So apparently I have changed the pitch in all of the snapshots, right? That's what you think would happen. But what if you want to adjust a specific threshold? You would have to sort of approximate the position of this snapshot here, because you cannot just click on the number. It will always just change this parameter somewhat. So I approximate this and now I mostly hear this snapshot. And I turn down the feedback and now I want this to be overwriting snapshot 4. So I click on this button, boom. And now when I go here, I can see the pitch parameter is moving again, because now apparently the plugin thinks that I want C2 to just be a thing of snapshot 4, I guess. And now I would have to go to all of the other snapshots to also make it C2, but it's... actually, I don't know. I think I would have to click on this button every time. Or do I? Let's see. Yeah, that has not worked at all. Okay. So this is kind of a fiddly workflow, as you can see. People always say that snapshots are so cool, but like, they are definitely adding the responsibility to handle multiple patches at the same time, and that also creates a little bit of mental friction, in my opinion. But I gotta say, once you have it working, it is pretty cool, as you can see. That's pretty obvious. I'm personally not a big fan of how you need a scroll bar, even for just 2 modulators, just because this whole thing is not resizable. That could be better, in my opinion, because I don't like scroll bars. And yeah, when you have a lot of plugins in Bitwig, you also need a scroll bar, but since it's just a larger window, it's not so problematic because it doesn't occur so fast and you can minimize things. And then you have even more space. before the scroll bar appears. To finalize this topic, I just want to talk about why we even need plugins like this. I think it's really interesting. Host plugins sort of show that there is a demand for DAWs to give you more control over the way that plugins are being accessed. Plugins like Snappy Snap and MegaMod with the Snapshot modulator show that there is a demand to be in control of morphing different kinds of presets together. MegaMod shows that there is a demand for a modulation system, something that so far mostly exists in Bitwig. Cubase has hopped on the train as well recently, and Ableton a little bit as well, but not as much as Bitwig. AudioDice shows that randomizing parameters would be cool, especially randomizing with precision. FL Studio users know that this was already possible for a long time in FL Studio, but the FL Studio randomizer can only randomize everything at full strength, and a lot of especially older plugins have a so-called bypass parameter, and that was for a long time implemented the wrong way, so that no matter on which value the randomizer fell, it would bypass. And that's why when you throw older plugins at the FL Studio randomizer, you most likely just get silence or the dry signal or something. And there is one other thing that I want to address real quickly, which is the Dime bundle here, which costs €100, and it is made for people who also don't have Bitwig. This developer only releases host plugins, and all of them basically look like they try to compensate for a DAW not being Bitwig. For example, here we have Dime MB, which lets you load plugins into these multiband splits. And that is essentially the same as if you were like multiband FX thingy in Bitwig, and then you click on these multiband splits and you can load any plugin in here or module or something, whatever. Then we have Dime TT. You can put effects on the transients, and then you can put effects on the tonal or sustained part of the signal. That would be the transient split container in Bitwig. Then we have Dime MS, where you can put different effects on the mid and the side signal. And that is also something that we have in Bitwig, which is a mid-side split. Oh, and I think that's already it. I didn't have the time to make more container plugins yet. And yeah, that is just a Bitwig thing, you know, that DAW already exists for much longer, and that's why it already has way more complexity in these kind of things. And also you can chain stuff, like you can make a chain of effects, like putting 4 dispersers in series, and then you can on top of that just say, okay, I want to have an FX layer in here, and then you want to layer different kinds of reverbs, maybe Raum, Valhalla, Supermassive, whatever, and then you can go after this FX layer and load a compressor. And this is something that would require lots of groups in other DAWs. You would have to route things like crazy to just get a chain like this going, and here you can just make one little thing that can even be minimized, and then you can go on with your main effect chain here like it was nothing. And on top of that, if you have anything in this whole chain that says you need a MIDI input, like here Bitspeak, you can just go ahead and say node receiver and receive node from something else, like here. Actually not that bad, even though I was just fucking around. So as you can see, this is really intuitive, and it would be impossible even to incorporate all of this functionality in a plugin. Because if you think of it, you could be like, okay, I want to have a node receiver on this other lane as well, but this time I want to get the nodes from a different place. Now, how would you do that in a container plugin? Because you can only route one MIDI information into the plugin. You could maybe put it on different MIDI channels, and then the plugin could have a workflow for distributing the MIDI channels to different plugins, but that would be kind of fiddly again compared to this workflow. So that's why I would like to conclude that it is inevitable that DAW developers wake up and implement the stuff that is being offered in Bitwig, because plugins will not compensate for that. Plugins can try as much as they want to compensate for it, and it's very cool that there are more and more plugins out there now that do compensate for it somewhat, but it will never be the same as just using Bitwig in terms of workflow. And that's kind of the message of this video, you know. I'm not saying that everyone should use Bitwig now because it is the best DAW in every regard, but just when it comes to how plugins are being controlled, all of the developers of different DAWs should finally look at Bitwig and realize that this is just the way. And until then, we are going to have fun with different kinds of container plugins. And even when there are more and more features supported in different DAWs that are inspired by Bitwig workflows, there will be more host plugins that keep pushing the boundaries of controlling plugins and show us that we can add even more stuff to that.